Good evening, everyone, and welcome to day one of the Impact Funding Online Summit 2020. On behalf of my team, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you. We sincerely appreciate you taking time off from your busy schedules to join us today and hope that you have a lot to take back from these sessions that we have lined up for you. For our next session, a panel discussion on volunteering to create value, please join me in welcoming our moderator for the session, Mr. Devender Jani, founder of Be the Lead and product manager at Amdocs India. An alumnus of IIM Calcutta, Sir has more than 16 years of IT experience. He believes that bees are to be loved and not feared. As the founder of Be the Lead initiative, he shares leadership lessons we can learn from bees and join hands to build sustainable cities. He's also a wall artist, a TEDx speaker, and a volunteer at multiple non-profit organizations. Sir, I now invite you to take the stage.
Thank you so much, Aishwarya. Good afternoon to everybody, and thank you so much for joining us. We are in an era where we're trying to learn new things, and this is one of them that we're having sessions virtually like this and still connect and add values. Now, volunteering is to the core of what all of us do, and I want to introduce you to our speakers who will share more about it. First is Aarti Mahadevan. She's the founder of Counts, an initiative that helps strengthen the boards of NGO. She's an alumnus of Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai, and National Institute of Mental Health and Neuroscience. She is passionate about volunteering. She's founded and runs Whiteboard, which is an initiative under I Volunteer that brings senior level corporate professionals together as a group to provide advice and strategic guidance completely pro bono to NGOs in their cities. Welcome, Aarti ma'am.
Hi.
Our second speaker is Shalabh Sahai. Shalabh is the co-founder and director of iVolunteer. We know of this platform. He's also credited with creating iVolunteer Awards, our nation's one and only award which is aimed at inspiring and establishing new benchmarks on volunteering. Shalabh was also instrumental in founding the ICICI Fellow program in 2009 and co-founded India Fellow, a social leadership program for the youth. He's also co-founded Jobs for Good, a boutique HR consultancy for social enterprises. Welcome, Shalabh.
Thanks,
And
Devendra.
concluding the panel, our speaker number three is Amol Nitave. Amol is the CEO of Evolving X, a new venture to empower youth towards the process of entrepreneurship development, along with strategic consulting to organizations. He's an experienced program management officer, a CSR professional with demonstrated history of working in software and telecom industry, innovation practices, and automation. He has overall experience of almost a decade in the industry, recognized by Pani Foundation for an outstanding contribution towards volunteering and fundraising support. Welcome, Amol.
Thank you. Thanks,
I'm
Devendra.
privileged to have the speakers with us of this caliber. So now, in India, when my days I'm talking about, when we used to focus about volunteering, there was very less talk about volunteering. We were busy studying and then finding a job and then looking after our lives. And then in our midlife crisis, we used to say, "Acha, kuch volunteering karte hai." Now I'm seeing the picture
Mm.
change, and in schools and kids and everybody is involved up front much earlier. My first volunteering experience was when I was with Infosys, and Infosys funds these meritorious students in remote villages. So they give them funds to continue their studies. So we get lots of forms asking for these funds. Now our voluntary activity was to go in the village and identify these people who filled the form. Do they really need funds or not? We had to take कि उनके पास TV है, do they have a house, is the house with the concrete, and blah blah blah. And when I went there, I had two forms. One form was of the Sarpanch of the village who'd requested for financial assistance. He had this lavish house, this amazing car. We go and sit in his sofa with the AC on, and he says, "Mera bacha is doing engineering, pehla wala, dusre wale ka padne ke liye thoda sa help chahiye." So, we'd applied for the funding. And I go to the second place, which is remote of the village. It is smelling so bad. I was about to puke. And I realized that that area is for those people who do cleaning of the leather, which is not something which you can do in the main village. You have to do it remotely. It smells, and it's very risky. And they hardly have a tin shed where they are so called calling it as house, and they have also filled in. And thanks to the volunteers who's gone to all these people to get their forms filled. And this is where I realized that, oh my god, that weekend I am gone there and I've spent some time, and I am doing a real value add to the program which Infosys was trying to lead. And this is where I thought that it is very important to do whatever volunteering work we can do in our part. And that's where my volunteering journey started. So now I would request our panelists to share their volunteering story or any great instance they remember, starting with Aarti ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Devin. For me, I think more than anything else, it is about how easy it is for people to volunteer. And that has always come back to me in very many different ways. I started volunteering without my knowledge. I was volunteered by my teacher, when I was 4 years old. So I'm not going to talk about that. But an experience that has sort of moved me and stayed with me was something that happened about 3 years ago. As part of Danutsav, Shalab and I and others are part of that initiative. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's India's Festival of Giving. In Chennai, I had actually gone to talk to a family of migrant workers back then. Several families living under a transformer in a certain part of Chennai. So they were all construction workers. They had come from Andhra Pradesh into Chennai. And I had actually gone there to try and understand what are their challenges, what are their needs, and how can they be helped through voluntary effort or contributions during Danutsav. And so I explained to the families, there were about 30, 40 families, kids, women standing around and all of that. And explained to them the festival, that it's, celebrating the spirit of giving. It's like Diwali or Eid or Christmas and so on and so forth, right? But my intention was only to find out what do you need, and how can I take these needs back to institutions and let them know. So an 8-year-old girl, she must have been all of 8, I think, yeah, 7 or 8-year-old, she comes up to me and she says, Acha, auntie, so, in Tamil, of course, but she said, so you're saying this is a celebration, this is a festival, everybody can participate, so can we also participate? And in my head, I was thinking, what can this 8-year-old girl do? I mean, she doesn't go to school. She's extremely poor, so she's no assets of her own, right? She can't give away anything. What can she actually do? How can she volunteer? I mean, she's not even as if she's an adult that she can go somewhere and do something, right? And what she said to me, I think completely shook me. I've been in the sector for 20, 25 years, but I've never had an experience like that. So I said, okay, very sort of semi-patronizing, right? Because you think, oh, you know the space, you've been around for so long. So I said, okay, what will you do? And she said something that, it still brings tears to my eyes when I relate it. So she said that, every morning our mothers wake up at 4 o'clock and wait in the queue till 7 p.m. to fill their buckets of water, because the water lorry that passes will pass by any time between 4 a.m. and 7 a.m. In Danutsav, between October 2 and 8, all the children will get up at 4 a.m. and stand in the queue, so our mothers can actually sleep for another 3 hours. And that will be our done. Okay. Yeah. And I mean, I came back home and I told my kids this. I said, look, here is a poor child, 8-year-old, under the stars, and she is saying that she will wake up with her friends, and her volunteering will be to stand in the queue so that her mother can sleep, right? I mean, so for me, it's always, I think the universe is always conspired to show me that volunteering is as simple and as easy as that.
Very true, very true. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Aarti, for sharing it. Amol, over to you.
So basically, as you mentioned, I had started my career as a software engineer. I was working with Amdocs, and on one of the Saturdays, I went to Bal Shikshan Mandir for school kid activities. So Seva Sahyog organizes school kid activities where all people, we come together, we assemble those school kids, and then we distribute those school kids across Maharashtra. So this is how I started. This was my first volunteering activity in Pune. After coming to Pune, after starting with Amdocs, this was the first volunteering activity I did, and that time I met a lot of people, and I made a few friends, and with them I started going for various volunteering activities on every Saturday. Then we started. Then we also met. We became friends, and we started mentoring program. And then in 2016, I got an opportunity to lead CSR program of Amdocs. So along with Preeti and few other folks, we started leading that program. And you'll not believe that every weekend we used to go for volunteering. It could be small volunteering activity, or it could be a big campaign that we used to run. Even Dan Utsav, we used to have that week-long campaign where we used to raise a lot of funds, a lot of fun-filled activities where thousands of employees used to come and they used to contribute either as a volunteer or as a donor. And I mean, I've been part of so many volunteering activities with Amdocs, after Amdocs, in personal capacities. Now, out of which one of the initiatives which I'm associated with is Pani Foundation. So in 2017, so 1st May is my wife's birthday, and on 1st May they celebrate Mahas Ramadan, which is mass volunteering in terms of going to those villages, digging those trenches and all. And that's how we got connected. We went to celebrate my wife's birthday over there. And then we got in touch with Pani Foundation team. And since then, we started going on every Saturday. Whenever there is Pani Foundation activity, me, my family, my friends, even we used to take volunteers from our office. So why this particular initiative is very close to me? Because see, there is a lot of fun. You go to a village, you look at the people, their lifestyle, their struggles. I mean, we have everything at our disposal, but they are struggling for water, which is one of the fundamental needs. So when you go there, you can empathize with them. You can see the real life challenges, and that makes you as a humble person. That immediately transforms you. And coming from a rural area, I am also from a small village near Kolhapur, so I could correlate. So that activity, that initiative, I mean, people used to struggle to just get a water, and not for their farming, but to drink. Forget about their farming, but also to drink. So that is the impact which we are able to contribute towards, and we are able to bring that impact, which is changing lives, which is saving lives. And if you look at that particular program, Pani Foundation program, the volunteering program, from CSR point of view, it's one of the brilliant models that I have ever seen. I've been part of various initiatives, but lots of NGOs in terms of volunteering, in terms of our CSR projects. But this model, I have never seen such kind of model, which is so robust, which is so, I mean, the scale of this program is huge. 4,500 villages participated last year in this particular campaign, and more than 1 lakh employees volunteered. Employees and people like us, normal people coming from cities, going to those villages and doing that Shramdan. And it is not a typical volunteering activity that we do when we invite our kids in our office or something like that. So you have to go there, you have to stand under the sun, you have to dig those trenches, right?
Correct.
In fact, Devendra was also part of one of the activities. We went together at Udachibadi. So this program has impact, which is very close to my heart. Along with that, it has great learning for me as a CSR professional. So this is one of the initiatives which which changed a lot of perspectives, and it gave me a lot of insights, which has helped me to develop a better person, of course, as well as a CSR professional, especially into volunteering management space.
Lovely.
So,
Great.
yeah,
Thank you.
That's
Thank
my
you, Amol,
experience.
for sharing this lovely experience. Over to you, Shalabh.
Yeah, hi. So last on the list, so I'm going to cheat a little bit. I had a personal story, but then I thought it's going in the same line as everybody else, and maybe change the game a little bit. And I am, being at I Volunteer, I'm fortunate to know of so many other stories. So this one is about. So I was meeting a volunteer. Her name is Rashmi, and she was volunteering in Bangalore. She was based in Bangalore. I was visiting my Bangalore office. That's where I met her, and she was a marketing manager at a beverage company. And I was asking her that, how is, and her volunteering project was about helping an NGO execute their marketing campaign, have a plan and then execute it as well. And I was talking to her that, you do marketing, because all the other examples are about, you're going out and doing something physically out there. In this one, her project was the same. She used to do marketing in her job, and this was marketing as a volunteer as well. So I asked her, what's the difference? Why are you doing this? What's the difference? And she said that, I'm a marketing manager. So a good part of my work profile is actually spending the marketing budget. And then everybody else takes care of what I do with that budget. I have vendors, I have a team who takes care of it. But with this NGO, it is the same job that I have, but I have a zero budget. And so I am challenged entirely on, how do I achieve almost the same objectives, but with a zero budget? And so the person, if I'm a management graduate, if I'm a marketing graduate, and if I'm an expert in that, then I get challenged on, am I really an expert on this or not? Can I make something happen or not? And I think the professional challenge, the personal challenge, which comes out of a story like this, is coming a lot more in the modern form of volunteering. And even I, for example, can increasingly when a NGO says that, okay, this is our requirement, and can you help design a volunteer management system for us? And I'm supposed to be somebody who's seasoned as a volunteer manager. And when I come across that challenge and I say, okay, abhi iska kya kare? This is a completely unique situation. So I think finding those professional challenges in your volunteering instances is something which is I like. Yeah.
Lovely, Shalabh. So we've heard that with the we being in the same place, still there are different experiences. We moving between village and city, there are different experiences. We moving between companies, there are different experiences. And now with times being too challenging, I think there is one aspect which will have impact. Like every other aspect is volunteering also. So I would like to request Shalabh to maybe put some light on how would volunteering be impacted or change post-COVID?
So Devendra, you've chosen the LIFO method, the last in, first out. So I was the last one for the previous question and first one. Okay. So yeah, I think one of the first things that I realized was, we run a platform, and in the month of April, we actually had 4 times more registrations than a regular month in the entire last year. 4 times. That's 400% growth. Completely, just like the Zoom has kind of, gone 100 times, possibly even 4 times. And to me, that's significant in a certain way, that people are much more conscious about the challenges that they are seeing around them. And I think a large pandemic like this increases the willingness and the interest in people to go out and help. So one immediate factor I see is that volunteer interest is going to spike up majorly. And I think that's a very encouraging sign today. And I definitely kind of see that that's going to happen more and more. On the flip side, my concern would be how long this is going to last. Is this a curve that again will get flattened, which we shouldn't? I don't want it to get flattened. That's a curve that should go up and up and up. So that's for us to see. But definitely there is a spike, and I think that's a super thing to have in the current times. The second thing is that immediately, obviously we're all talking about virtual, and everybody is interested in volunteering virtually. And virtual volunteering is nothing new. It has existed for decades, not just 5-7 years, 20, 30 years. It's existed for decades. iVolunteer itself has been pushing it for at least 7 years now. But we didn't find much takers. So while, the companies and the professional volunteers are more interested in going virtual, interestingly, the NGOs also will be looking forward to how can I engage people more virtually. So one of the challenges that we face often is that, the people who want to volunteer have the technology, and people who want to engage volunteers do not. But I think it is challenging the non-profits as volunteer involving organizations to actually see how can I become more tech enabled, because the NGOs also have staff, they have work teams, and their teams will start becoming more technology friendly. And so I think more of technology will seep into volunteering. So that's the second thing that it's quite obvious, but I see it more from a non-profit perspective. The third and a slightly different one is virtual teams. So this is something I've learned, so I realized that we used to do skills-based volunteering projects as team projects. And we often had a very difficult time putting together teams virtually in India. Mostly in the other international forums that I was a part of, I always heard that teams worked, amazingly well in North America or in Europe, but somehow in India they did not. And I don't know what was the reason. Our society is too hierarchical, or we didn't want to follow the same thing that we had in the office, and so it didn't really work. But I think now, because everybody is forced to work from a distance, so we are getting more used to working in teams virtually, and therefore even volunteering in teams virtually. I think that is going to be more of it. And an interesting element of this is that until now, family volunteering or was again not as prevalent in India, though we are a very close knit together society. But when it comes to volunteering, in the modern form sense of the world, we were doing it mostly individually, but family was not volunteering together. But I think the more time that we are spending together in these days, and the more things we are doing together, will also result into more family volunteering together. For example, one of our projects is about kind of recording audio stories, and you can record an audio story between a 19-year-old teenager and a 65-year-old grandmother sitting together and recording a story. So that's a family volunteering that is going to happen more and more virtually again. So that's possible. The difficulty, the challenge is going to be the personal element in it. I think the personal connection possibly will be missing, and it will be more wanting. How do we build that kind of rapport? So in programs that require deep engagement, we groups of volunteers who already connected with the NGO on a personal basis can continue to work much more deeply on a virtual basis as well. But how do we bring it for volunteers who are just starting off? I think that's going to be a little more challenging. And the other aspect is safety. So while the feeling is much more that I must go out and do something, but we're also much more going to be much more safety conscious, at least for the next 6 months. I don't know, maybe a year or much more. And so how do we overcome that challenge of where volunteers were daring and willing and wanting to step out of their safety zone? Now suddenly that's the biggest challenge that is going to be there. So yeah, I think these are some of the things that as I see, and it's an immediate effect of COVID volunteering.
Perfect. That's a lovely summary, Shalabh. Sometimes we know things, but when we hear them explicitly, I think that really helps, to take them in and put them when we do some planning. Lovely. Now that we know that there are these changes and impacts, I think I would like to move to Aarti, and she's doing amazing with designing frameworks. So if Aarti, you can shed some light on how it would be in terms of designing some framework on these things and how to engage volunteers while we do that.
Yeah, so I think really the first step, in terms of designing a framework is to understand why does somebody want a volunteer. So there are two elements. There is the volunteer and there is the volunteer recipient, right? So I think it's important to get to the objectives first, right? Why does somebody want to volunteer and why does somebody need a volunteer, right? Answering that question is really critical. There are basically 2 or 3 broad objectives, right? So if I'm designing a volunteering program and I want to receive volunteers, I need to be very, very clear as to what do I want this volunteer to actually do, right? Do I want to create a volunteering experience for somebody for the first time, or do I want an output at the end of it, right? So if I want to create a volunteering experience for somebody, then the activity has to be something that is really simple and can be done across the board, right? It doesn't matter, because the objective there is to ensure that the person who is doing the activity of volunteering will continue to do it and will have a lot of fun, right? The objective or the outcome of the volunteering is important, but it is not as important. So I'll walk you through this with an example. A few weeks ago, I launched an initiative called Call and Connect. Honestly, I am not a very logical person in my head, okay? And I'm saying that because Shalabh is my boss, and I don't want him to call me later and say, "Kya खेल रहे हो तुम वहाँ पे करके?" So I'm confessing, in public, okay? But I think a framework emerged and evolved. So the idea behind the initiative was, can we provide a very simple experience for people to volunteer, people who have never volunteered before, right? And all they had to do was to pick up the phone and make 3 phone calls to children in an underserved community. And we aligned it gender-wise. So it was women calling girl children. And that was just to ensure broadly that there would be some safety, elements that were taken care of. Yeah. And the activity was really simple, right? You just needed to be able to pick up the phone and make a phone call and say, "Hi, hello, kya chal raha hai? Aaj tumne lunch pe kya khaya?" Right? Literally that. What was interesting though was the different kinds of things that emerged through that experience. So there were some people for whom it was the first time experience, right? And there were people who picked up the phone to just understand what is the life of a girl child in Jharkhand, for example, right? And people came back with some amazing takeaways. So my sister, for example, who she's not volunteered much before in this way, and she has two young children, young daughters herself. So when she made the call, she called me back and she said, I never knew I took so much in my life for granted, right? And why was that? Not because she had this call with this young girl, but because the mother came on the phone and was so happy to share with my sister all the wonderful things that her daughter was capable of doing. And the mother actually told my sister that I've never had the opportunity to talk about my daughter in this way to anybody at all.
How
Okay.
lovely.
I mean, it's amazing, right? And several other volunteers who came back and said, I'm just grateful for the opportunity. But I'm just wondering, in designing a framework, if we are able to put the expectations down and design activities where we are able to say to the volunteer or say to ourselves that at the end of this activity, this is going to be the outcome for the volunteer. Did it change the life of a child? The 3 phone calls? No, they will not, right? But we had children who basically called and said, nobody has ever called me and asked me what my favorite film song is. Okay, and one of the very interesting pairs, they don't do anything. They just call each other up and they sing songs to each other, right? Which is which is a very simple thing. Of course, I was
Interesting.
sharing earlier on another call that the child then called me up and said, "Can you please change to volunteer? She sings really badly." Okay, and she thinks she sings very well, right? So one is that getting to the getting to understand what are the outcomes and for whom, right? The second really critical element is actually tracking and managing this, right? Is the volunteering activity happening in the way that you anticipated? You will have some expectations, but keeping an eye and keeping a tab on that, okay? Which again, is something that can evolve very organically, but it's always useful to have check-ins and say, okay, 3 calls were supposed to happen. Did they happen? What was the content? Were there any red flags? Did the people involved, like it, not like it? What did they take away from it? So second thing is the check-in. And I cannot emphasize the importance of the volunteer engager. So in a lot of the other volunteering activities that we do, even through iVolunteer, the person engaging the volunteer is the maker or breaker of the of the experience, right? Getting back to a volunteer, giving feedback, telling the NGO boss you have to get back to the volunteer in time or not. What I have learned is that this doesn't come naturally to everybody. Either you've got to be like completely left brain like Shalabis, so you have Excel sheets and check-in points and alarms and things like that, or you have to have somebody who loves people and who likes to pick up the phone and call and check ki bhaiya ho kya raha hai, right? So the identifying the right volunteer engager is very important, and I think that one of two extremes will work very well. One is somebody who's extremely process-driven and oriented, or somebody who is very people-friendly, right? Who doesn't mind calling somebody at 9 o'clock at night or 7 o'clock in the morning and saying what's happening, right? And lastly, I think it's giving feedback both to the volunteer and checking with the organization. I think as a country and as a culture, we don't give negative feedback well enough, right? And it's very important to let the volunteer know that, boss, this is not for you now. And I mean, not in a judgmental way or a critical way, but to say maybe you want to try this sometime later when you have your priorities all aligned. So the fourth point, we don't. I mean, if a volunteer is dropping off, we just let it be, and we crib and we complain and we don't do anything about it.
True.
Right? But actually checking back with the volunteer, why did you drop off? I mean, was the activity not interesting? Was did the NGO or the recipient of volunteering not exciting? What was the reason? So we're always in a hurry to showcase successes. We don't really look at why we have failed. And just as an aside, so last year we brought out in iVolunteer, we brought out a report which is there on the website. I would encourage people to look at it, which is titled "Why Does Corporate Volunteering Fail?" So it's a failure report, right? And we're very proud because it's a collection of insights from different companies as to why corporate volunteering can actually fail, right? And so really that is my takeaway. Just four elements: understanding motivations, designing activities to meet motivations and constraints, looking at whether those motivations and constraints are getting met, doing regular check-ins, and lastly giving feedback, especially feedback to improve.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Aarti. I'm sure we are a little back foot in taking constructive feedbacks, and but surprisingly, I got a call at 7 p.m. in the morning from an Amazon delivery guy saying, "मैं आपके दरवाजे पे हूँ." Like, who comes so early for a delivery? But that reminds me of somebody, who's so involved in what they are doing, and right, somebody who drives volunteers and with that passion will really help. Lovely. I also see a lot of energy in young people, and they have a little bit of more time compared to us oldies, or me at least. So I would want to move to Amol. That Amol, how do you foresee youths into volunteering, and how can we get more and more of them?
So basically, if you look at the volunteering as a culture, it has evolved only because of the participation of youth nowadays. Now there are so many platforms, so many opportunities, so many avenues available for the youth where they can go and contribute basis their skills, basis their interests. A lot of options are there. So I see a better future for youth, especially who really want to contribute to the society. And if you go through the couple of surveys published recently by UN Volunteering Committee, Gen Y, Gen Z, these bunch of youths, they are more keen towards volunteering. They wants to be in the society. They wants to be a part of society. It's not only like typically they have some skills, so they will focus on that particular thing itself. They have varied interests. They have a lot of other interesting options available for them. So from volunteering point of view, if you want to channelize their energy, you have to be very cautious. You have to be very flexible. You have to be ready with all kind of activities or options for them as an institution or as an organization which is into volunteering or volunteering management. For us, we have to be very fast, we have to be very flexible, and we have to be very it has to be very easy for us to scale up our overall program and campaign. Reason, because a lot of technical platforms are there. Earlier we used to get mails, we used to register for that, then we used to get another mail, but now everything is app based, right? So it is moving just like this, very fast, and there are so many options available, so people get confused. There is a lot of over messaging happening. There are thousands of NGOs, millions of groups. Everybody wants to do something just because they want to do, without collaborating, without doing the reality check or the actual need assessment in CSR terminologies. So there is a lot of bombarding happening. So we have to be very cautious in terms of selecting the cause and the impact of it. It shouldn't be not just feel good factor. Those days are gone where people used to go for volunteering just to feel good. But now everybody is talking about the impact, and a lot of them, they are also talking about transformation. So volunteer journey starts from the first phase where they chase applause or they chase recognition, right? We get a lot of people in that particular group or category. Second phase is when he spends some time, he do some volunteering, and then he realizes or he starts talking about the impact. मैं ये कर रहा हूँ, but उसका impact क्या होगा? He starts thinking about the impact. And then the third phase, उससे भी जब परे हो जाते हैं, then he starts talking about the transformation. I'm not talking about change, I'm talking about transformation, which is a big thing, right? So we have to be ready with this platform or this pathway. First, let them join, let them chase applause, let's appreciate them, let them do something at least and experience that. Then when they experience, they will come to the second category, that is, they start thinking about the impact, the result, the output. I'm not talking about outcome. Outcome will come in the transformation phase. And then few of them will become volunteer leader, and they will become the catalyst for the society. So as an organization which is into volunteering, we have to be ready with this track. We have to be ready with the platforms which will be very fast, which is robust and also scalable, right? One of the activities just recently I personally completed. So during this lockdown, you must have seen a lot of messages, webinars happening, like life after COVID, industry after COVID, this after COVID, that after COVID, COVID after COVID. I mean, youth, they are literally frustrated. ये webinar attend करना है कि वो webinar attend करना है. This is coming from my college. This is coming from my friend. This is coming from my NGO. They are bombarded by a lot of things, and the topic remains same: this or that after COVID. And it is creating a lot of negativity. Literally, they are frustrated. There is a lot of confusion, clutter. Now, what we thought, a couple of my friends, who is the chairman of Federation of Training Placement Officers, we decided let's do something different, something positive, something which will give them some positivity. And we decided that we will conduct a goal setting and planning workshops for the youth of Maharashtra. We started with 10 colleges first. We were expecting hardly 1,000 students will participate, but you'll not believe, just within a week we got 13,000 registrations. And within a month we conducted 45 volunteering virtual workshops, voluntarily, completely free of cost, without charging a penny, right? And because of which we empowered 10,000 lives during this pandemic. And you'll not believe, a lot of them said that this is the first webinar we attended during this pandemic, which is giving us some positivity. They have no clue about goal. Few people have clarity about goal, but they don't know how to do, or when to do, how to plan, how to prioritize. And this is a pandemic. It is not a full stop. It is a pause.
Correct.
The
I
major
think
challenge for current youth
would have to learn to
is,
live with it, you know.
Correct. And current challenge for youth is not pandemic, but the real challenge is Industrial Revolution 4.0. If you don't have relevant skills, how will you survive? That is the major challenge. So instead of getting diverted from the real challenge and focusing on pandemic, we thought of something doing different. And why I'm saying this, because see, something which is obvious to us is not obvious to all. Goal setting and planning, we have a lot of mentors, we have friends like you. We are fortunate enough, by the virtue of our surrounding, we know what is goal, how to set, and how to work on it. But a lot of you, they don't know. Something which is genuinely obvious to us is not at all obvious to all. It remains, it is the fact, it remains same across the society, across the sector, across the domains. So that is the reason we thought. And if youth can identify some skill which will be helpful for the youth or for the society, it could be a small skill, it could be a skill. Just go and tell stories to underprivileged kids. For you, it could be a simple thing, but for them, it's a big thing. So we have to strike the balance between something which is feel-good kind of activity, because that is also important. But on top of that, there has to be some impact, and then which should lead to a transformation. So from our side, from volunteering management side, this has to be a method, something which will help all youth to get what they like. It has to be very fast. It shouldn't be like over communication, and also it has to be related to or some impact as well as transformation. So that is the future of volunteering. And a lot of youth, they are very passionate, they are very keen, they want to give back, and we have to be ready with the all platforms so that they will come and they contribute their bit.
Correct. And be where they are, so they are online. We need to scale the technology platforms to go there quickly.
Exactly. So
I think we are.
Instead of calling them to us, we have to go there where they are.
Correct. So keeping tab of time, we are on the last question. Just 1 minute for all of us to share the call of action to encourage all to continue the volunteering for themselves and for our nation building. Each one of us can share one. Maybe we can start with Shalabh, you first. I think he has a technical problem. Maybe we'll let him come back. Aarti ma'am, you want to share something on this aspect?
Yeah, I mean, I think the call to action is get out of the chair and, click left, click, right click, whatever, find the opportunities. There is just a zillion of them around, and get started. Really, I mean, there's nothing more to it than that. It's as simple as that. It's literally, at your fingertips. It's not even at your doorstep anymore. It's at your fingertips.
Yeah.
So just get started. That's it.
Correct. Enough of waiting, and
Correct.
watching,
and thinking and analyzing, and I mean, if you're on Facebook, then you can volunteer. It's as simple as that.
Absolutely. How about you, Amol?
Correct. So there is a very famous quote which I follow in my life, which says, everything looks difficult unless and until you go and do it. So volunteering is exactly like this. Just go and try. And there is very famous quote or a tagline of my previous company, which says, "Do good, feel great." You don't have to do best to feel great. You can simply do good, something which is very small, giving a chocolate to a kid. That itself, which will spread some happiness, which will spread some joy, and which will make that kid smile. That itself is a big thing. Or on Raksha Bandhan, go and tie Rakhi to security guards. My wife does that, right? Every small action creates some or other happiness around. So that is the reason it is very simple. Do good and feel great. And everybody can do that. So just try it.
Lovely. Great. Shalab is back with us. I think we can move to the Q&A given that we hardly have 10-15 minutes. We may request the participants to post their questions in the questions tab, which is second last from below above setting. I see 2 questions already. If you are typing your questions, I would request who the question is addressed to so that we can ask the right speaker. I would apologize upfront that we may not be able to take all the questions if we go over board with the time. Let's take first question from Mohammed Afroz. Thanks, Afroz, for asking the questions. He's from Bihar, into the education and welfare field. He's asked this question: how to get kids, school kids, encouraged and come up with volunteering at a very early age instead of what we see these days. I think most of the schools are doing their bit, but how we think we can add to what we have experienced so far. Any one of us would like to take that?
Yeah, I'll take that because of a recent experience that we've had with the DAV schools here in Chennai. So about 3 or 4 months ago, before COVID happened, the schools approached us and said, "How can we get young children to volunteer?" And I think what really worked there was we ran a survey of about 800 kids, right, through I Volunteer. And the idea was to ask children, what is the cause that troubles you, right? And our biggest learning there was that we don't ask children what bothers them. We tell them कि ये आपको volunteer करना है, ये 4 opportunity हैं, right? We go to them and these were young kids, like 13, 14-year-old, right? And we were amazed at the kinds of responses that we got from children. I think the first step is to ask them, what is the issue that bothers you? And it ranged from saying that I'm worried about women's safety. These are boys, okay? I'm worried about women's safety, to saying that, what can I do to make the politicians in my state less corrupt? Right? It was amazing. And then what we did was, some of you may have been familiar with this program called Shark Tank. We actually got NGOs to come and pitch to the kids. Okay. And we told the NGOs that you have to pitch your volunteering opportunity, the kids will choose.
Wow,
so
that's
I think
amazing.
the first, it was amazing. I mean, obviously there were some organizations that got the maximum number of volunteers, right? And the idea is to give children choice. Ask them what bothers them, give them the opportunity to make a choice as to how they can be part of the solution without giving gyan, right? So I think children are very bright, and as young as 8 and 9 have very strong views and opinions. So I would encourage you to ask your children as to what bothers them and ask them what solutions they can come up with, and get them to then be a part of the solution.
Absolutely.
Just adding
Yes,
to what
sure.
Aarti said, so we've done it a little systematically also. So with every volunteer to begin with, we call it a volunteer orientation happens, and a part of
Right.
volunteer orientation is what Aarti mentioned. You do that circle of concern and circle of influence. Essentially, you can do it with any age group, any kind of people. We are a society and a community that loves to crib. So we begin with the cribbing, which is a circle of concern, and then we say, now what can you do about each of the things that you crib about, and slowly start expanding into circle of influence, and which is about what troubles you and what can you do about it.
Yeah.
Perfect. I think that's very true, because it is very important that you just don't talk. You probably do something that will help you overcome it, and you have to do it. We don't have to wait for somebody. I think what we need to tell kids also is, you guys think something is to be done, go ahead and do it. Don't wait for somebody to help you do something and form around it and then you run with it. Go ahead and do it, and you will get people join you while you start with that. Excellent. I think Shalabh, I'm going to come to you for the next question, which is by
David,
Amresh.
David, I'm just going to kind of, also give a counterpoint to what you just said.
Yeah.
So one of the other things is that people who do not volunteer and also people who do not donate,
Correct.
a common reason why they do not volunteer, do not donate is because nobody has asked them.
Correct.
So, which is also statistically proven, not just India but elsewhere as well.
Absolutely.
So, it is important to also realize that we need to ask that will you volunteer? Can you do something? And then obviously move to the next step that okay, what can you do about it? So just sorry.
Correct. So after you hear the cribbing, you ask them to do something. That was what I wanted. And this is very important. This has really worked, that you go to people and tell them, you knock at their door, and then, things get started. I think this was what I was coming to you with as the next question. But I mean, you've almost answered it. So let's move to the question by reading it from Mr. PKG, which says, how do you get people to develop the mindset of volunteering in ordinary times and not necessarily during crises like floods or COVID or anything of that sort? Any thoughts on that?
If that's to me, then I think it's you have to ride the wave. So people are going to be more conscious during the extraordinary times like currently.
Right.
It is how do we engage people and sustain that engagement during normal times that gets them to continue volunteering. So when somebody came to us and told us today that I want to volunteer, and I gave them a fantastic experience right now. For example, being able to go and distribute masks, make masks at home and go and distribute it. Now, after this pandemic is kind of getting over, when I reach out to them and I say, hey, this is over, but here's another requirement. And, you had said that, you have free time or you live in a certain place. Can we engage you now? That, the volunteering will continue. Often we forget about our volunteers, and obviously they forget about us as well.
I just want to add to that. I think one of the ways to sustain volunteering or even inspire volunteering is to show the volunteer what it will do for her or him, right? I
Exactly.
think the approach always is if you do this, somebody else will benefit. The biggest benefit is to the volunteer herself, right? I mean, nothing can match that. And I think if we are constantly sending this message out that the volunteering is good for you, and there is scientific evidence. I mean, there's oxytocin that gets released in the brain when you do good to others, which directly impacts immunity. So you will live longer if you volunteer. It's as simple as that.
Absolutely.
And healthier. So.
Correct.
I never debate when there is science involved. Perfect. And I was in two minds with us sharing what we do in terms of our volunteering space, putting posts on Facebook and Instagram. And sometimes I thought, is that a kind of show off we are doing, or is it really helping? And then I used to get so many messages saying that thanks for sharing this, we want to do this, we never knew about this. So I take the positive side of it, and if even one person knows about it and benefits and want to do something from their end, or gets a push that will you volunteer, I think we've done our bit by posting that. So I think that's
Totally, yeah.
Next question is Amol for you, and this is from Amresh, and I know you've done a lot in this space. Is what is the best way to convert volunteers into community leaders so that they can become our representatives and create a chain of volunteerism? I think I've worked with you, and I've seen
Correct.
you pull normal people into volunteering, and from volunteering into community leaders. Share something of that experience.
Correct. So basically, see, you need to spend a lot of time with that person who is a volunteer, and you have to be a volunteer at times. The program that we used to lead, before program and after program, we were program managers. But during the implementation, during the executions, we too were equally volunteers. On the event day, we were volunteers. That made us understand our volunteers, each and every person, in a better way. Their strengths, their weakness, and weaknesses in terms of how can we help them better so that they will get empowered. So you have to spend a lot of time with your volunteers as well. It shouldn't be like today there is an event, so come, we'll do this. Thank you, namaste, goodbye. It shouldn't be that way. I have seen a lot of. I'll not take name, but few organizations, they simply put a WhatsApp post. They call volunteers. They do that volunteering, and after that, that's it. So there is nothing happens after that. There has to be a link to connect with each and every volunteer which comes to your organization. Let it be for 1 hour or let it be for multiple events. That doesn't matter. But once that person comes, he or she should get a brilliant experience, which will be a hook for that person for the rest of his life. So from organization point of view, you have to be, you personally as a leader, you have to get connected with each and every person, because everybody has some of the other qualities which is in demand, which is required for the betterment of the society. You have to wear those glasses. At times you have to come out and you have to observe each and everything. At times you have to be part of that particular group, of that crowd. You need to get pulse of each and every volunteer or a person who is there to contribute. You have to make them feel comfortable by providing all facility. By the virtue of my previous organization and the budget that we used to get, I mean, if you look at a couple of activities that we used to do, it was, if you remove that voluntary part, it was like a picnic, like tree plantation, tree nurturing, even with Pani Foundation. We used to invite our employees, their families, their kids, and it has created a virtual, what we say, an extended family. Today, I am not working with that organization, but still I'm in touch with those volunteers, with their family, with their kids. Their kids love me a lot because I play with kids. I just love kids, right? So they consider me their best friend. So you have to create that conducive environment where people should come, they should feel comfortable. You should understand them, you should empathize with them, you should know their strengths so that we can use that strength for the betterment of the society, as well as the weakness, so that you can provide support to overcome those weaknesses so that they will become a better leader. And in systematic way, like I mentioned, first they will come for applause, second they will come for impact, third they will start transformation. So you have to be ready with the framework, with the platform, what's next, and there should be like repetition of tasks. अगर हर कोई मतलब एक बंदा आके he is doing plantation for a year, he or she will start feeling, I mean, getting bored. So you have to be, I mean, there should be a variety of experiences.
Correct.
The moment he or she feels that हो गया यार, काफी हो गया, he will find for something else because he wants to do, but not this particular task. He wants to do something. So these are few things. These are few things which will help you if you focus on these few things, or if you follow these few things. It will definitely help you to engage volunteers for the rest of your life.
Absolutely. So I think this is what Amrish wanted to understand, that, and I have experience with the Amol as well. I am a chai lover, and he used to have chai with volunteers. So one is, once you're done with volunteering, you connect with the volunteers to understand their experiences. You have been the volunteer to also feel the on-ground realities, and then see the good and bad in them, and then try to take them one step forward by delegating something. You keep on doing something, then volunteers come and they just do their bit and go. Next time you delegate what you are doing, and slowly they come from a normal volunteer to owning some of the activities in it, and then they realize that, oh, it's not a big deal, I can run some initiative on my own and get some more volunteers for it. So now that person is not just a volunteer, he's becoming a community leader. And eventually, with this chain of us doing regular feedbacks, giving regular tasks and delegating it, I think we will soon be able to have that journey from normal volunteer to community leader.
And what has helped me to lead this program more efficiently and effectively was, I started my journey as a volunteer, so I know how it feels, what it takes to be a volunteer. Then how is the journey? I don't have MSW, I don't have MBA, but still I used to lead that program because I had been in that entire transformation journey myself. So I was able to correlate with each and every person. He's a new person, okay, let's make him feel comfortable. Let's welcome him. Let's understand his strengths. And then we used to allocate particular activity to a specific group or specific person. We never bothered DJ for all activities, very specific activities we had. That time only I used to bother you, right?
I know.
So that helps.
Not everybody calls me Devendra Jani. I'm known most as DJ. So just a context. And I think that's true, Amol. I think it's also a journey which you've gone through from a software testing person in a big MNC to becoming a CEO of an venture which is touching so many lives and so many young people. I think that itself is a story which I think we should be sharing with most of our participants in some another forum. But I think we are doing very well on time. we being Indians have to take pride in ensuring we are so on time. And I think we've
Yeah.
almost covered most of the questions we had, and tried to do our bit for this session. I take this opportunity to thank all the speakers, Aarti, Shalab, Amol, for all the insights you've had. Um, Aishwarya and Abhijit, who've been doing a lot of support for us and
Yeah.
ensuring that all the participants get this amazing session and insights. We would love from all the participants to share their feedback about how the session is gone with Aishwarya and the team. And I think we take this amazing session to an end. So thank you so much, everybody, and have
Thank
an
you.
amazing day ahead.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Thank you
Devendra.
Bye-bye.
so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Take care.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thank you,
guys.
ma'am.
Aishwarya.
Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Bye.